G'day Doggies fans, all things Bulldogs. It's the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs Elite Pathways Weekly Wrap live from my car. Eddo's back again. He's going to talk about that great success in New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flag. Can't wait to hear about that and all the other Pathways results. Eddo's also going to name his player of the round from the Pathways and some players he thinks Cameron Ciraldo could pick this week or in the very near future to help us win some more games and hopefully keep our chances alive, but more so with a view to 2024 in my opinion. So look forward to hearing about that. I'll give the NRL player of the round in a moment, but first of all, it was the I Forgive Cup, 34-12 loss to our arch enemy, the Parramatta Eels, in front of 33,000 people. I was really pissed off about that and not happy at all with the way that we performed. The tail of the tape in that game would have been the fact that our spine showed no composure. They showed no ability to stay in the grind, no ability to build pressure, and that was the difference. I love the fact that they played confident. I like the fact that they pulled the trigger early on some of the plays. I like the fact that they went for it, and sometimes it's good to see them take a low percentage play to get a high risk reward. I don't mind that, but they did that over and over again, and it's not good enough, right? We need our spine to be able to take the hard route and to build some pressure, and they just weren't prepared to do it, and it cost us big time. Carl Olawapu, great to see him get that play under his resume where he did what he likes to do, and that's show his determination, pull out of tackles, bust out of tackles. I think he busted through 40 tackles or something, got the ball onto Burton, and Burton scored, and we were back at 6-all, and we were fired up for a very important occasion. But the problem after that was, we continued just to give the ball away on first or second tackle. It wasn't even from a drop ball. It was literally from, not taking a tackle and using the other tackles that we had up our sleeve to build pressure. If we'd made the Eels make more defensive decisions, made them tackle more, it would have zapped a bit of energy out of them and would have given us more energy. And that's what they weren't prepared to do. Even when you make that Hail Mary play and you get a couple of tries on the scoreboard, it sort of happened with the Roosters where we executed real well and led 12-0 and were willing to attack the way we did, start really well. Like that's what's on their brains, but they've got to build pressure. They have to build pressure. If you miss a few of those opportunities when you don't get the try, it doesn't pay off with the lowest percentage play. Next time, take the tackle, build the pressure, kick deep, rely on and trust your defence. They just weren't prepared to do it, and that was the tail of the tape. Now, a lot of fans are up in arms because they want to see Cameron Ciraldo make changes. He said that there will be changes coming if the current crop don't do the job that he needs them to do and that the club needs them to do. And what I think he meant was more so the players off contract or senior players may find themselves without a club or without playing at the Canterbury club either at the end of this year or next year, because he'll bring some new players in externally or upgrade some juniors. I do think he will make a couple of changes because I think he needs to. There might be some injuries in there as well that he has to address. But in all forgiveness, the outrage about him only making one change to the lineup was a little bit short-sighted. If you use your rational thought and be reasonable about it, he only had 23 hours after the game to make that team list. And I'm sure he hasn't done all the video or talked to all his players about their individual performances. So it'd be a bit unfair to start naming other players in those positions when you actually haven't done your full review and you don't know who you're going to bring in at that point. So that's very important. So hopefully, Pete, we will see. I think we'll see one more change, maybe two, but time will tell. Eddo's going to give us who he thinks those changes should be, and I look forward to hearing about that. I've got my own ideas, but Eddo will talk about his. And the last point being the player of the round, Jacob Preston, fantastic effort. If there was a player of the year for us this year, it's him at the moment. Going off just the consistency and the high level that he plays at. Saves a lot of people's butts with his cover. And, you know, just the fact he's so consistent with the ball in hand as well. Really love watching this kid play, and I'm so glad that the club got a hold of his services. Really well done. I'm going to pass on to Eddo now. Look forward to hearing from him. Go ahead, Eddo.
Thanks, mate. So before I talk about the New South Wales Cup massive win against the Eels, we'll go into the other games that were played in the Pathways. And in Host Plus Cup, the Clydesdales got flogged 40-4 against PNG Hunters in Port Moresby. They now sit in 13th position. The Clydesdales Colts, the under-21s, up there, they had a bye on the weekend, and they currently sit in 8th position. So both teams in the Clydesdales will play at home this week, and it's against the Wynnum Manly Seagulls on Saturday. In Sydney Shield and Ron Massey, they all had a week off with the competition. No games were played last weekend, and our teams, the Moorebank Rams and the Dogs in those comps, have the bye this weekend. So a couple of weeks off for them. So hopefully they're working on a few things to improve their position on the ladder. In Jersey Flegg, they had a really good win over the Eels on Friday night at Belmore, 22-6. It was a strong starting lineup. It included Joash Papali'i, who dropped back from Cup, Jordan Samrani in the centres again, and the forward pack contained Zach Montgomery, Harry Hayes, and Luke Smith. And the tries were scored by Sione Mawala, Jonah Glover, Lachlan Vale, and Tim Johansson. And Jonathan Sewell kicked 3 conversions. So now they are placed in 3rd spot on the ladder, and they take on 2nd placed Panthers this Saturday at Belmore at 4 p.m. Should be an absolute ripper. Can't wait. So on to the New South Wales Cup game against the Eels. This game was played before the main game at Accor. I was on the way to the ground on the train and stopped at the Royal Oak at Lidcombe. Met a mate there, and we had a couple and watched the first half. And the first half result was 40-6. And we walked out of there like Ben Stiller on the catwalk in Zoolander, full of confidence. But unfortunately, the walk out of the ground was definitely not Zoolander. So going through the try scorers from that game, Kyle Flanagan actually scored 4 tries. It was a hat-trick to Braden Burns. Gideoni Katunga got a couple, and 1 each to Joseph O'Neill, Gerald Skelton, and Eli Clark. And Kyle Flanagan kicked 8 goals from 12 attempts, and the end score was 64-12. So, looking at that game, they built it up on Foxtel as a battle of the heavyweights. Well, it was more like a battle against Swiss cheese, because there were holes everywhere. That Eels performance was shocking. It was like a training run, really. But, you know, there was still a lot to like. I think we played some enterprising play. And I think that even though we didn't do too much defence, which probably helped our defence, and we put some good hits on, and we defended well in numbers, and we put a bit of sting into them. And, you know, that probably comes with not having to do too much defence. But all the same, you play what you've been given, and I think they did really well on that side of things, even though our highest amount of tackles was 24, and that was from Kyle Flanagan. To look at some of the individual performances and some of their stats, more so the attack, of course. Blake Wilson had his first game at fullback in New South Wales Cup, ran for 255 metres, 88 kick return metres, which is pretty good, and 3 line breaks and 9 tackle breaks. This was a really good introduction for Blake Wilson at fullback. He didn't do anything wrong. I think he'll have a much better test this week against the Panthers, and I think he should probably play that game, in New South Wales Cup. There's been some talk about bringing him up to NRL, but I probably would resist that this week and get him playing another game in Cup, and see where he goes with that. Joel Skelton ran for 173 metres, 12 tackle breaks. Burns and Kai Ward had 3 offloads each, and the entire back line were really good. Always involved in the attacking plays and made plenty of run meters and just fed off each other and backed up each other really well. The halves, O'Neill again was good. His second game, back-to-back wins, 3 line break assists. Haywood got 2 line break assists, and both just dig into the line. They're not scared to go into the line and create more space on the edges for the likes of Tapine and Hoffman to run through, and they will give them plenty of space. So yeah, on to the forwards. Ryan Sutton did good work, 11 hit-ups, 2 offloads, no missed tackles. Jaden Tanner, 162 metres, a big first stint, and a couple of offloads as well. And I thought New Brown was really good as well, 180 metres, 1 line break, 1 try assist, 4 tackle breaks. Really good numbers from him. And as I mentioned, Tapine and Hoffman did really well. Tapine only played 40 minutes and then come off and was prepared for 18th man in NRL. But the bench were absolute powerhouse. And that's what I've alluded to before. When you've got size on the bench, Kidiana Katunga, Whitboy Hotboy and Franklin Pele, it's just size. And they made a massive impact. Even though the game was well and truly over, when you just got those types of players coming on, when your team's been dominating already, they just run off the back fence, and it's just more problems for the Eels defence. And they put some good hits on as well. Pele, 156 metres. He played 50 minutes, which is pretty high for him this year anyway. Gideone Katunga had 3 line breaks, a couple of tries like I mentioned. Yeah, so really good stats from all the boys, and those that I haven't mentioned, well, they all play well. Eli Clark, he always hits on the burst. I always think when he sees the ball, he's just on the burst, run. He's doing really well since he's come into Cup. So yeah, on to my man of the match. So on to Eddo's man of the match. I give it to, for the second time in the space of a few weeks, halfback turned hooker, Kyle Flanagan. He was great once again. 24 tackles, their highest. 4 tries, 8 conversions, 32 points. 3 tackle breaks, 126 metres, 1 try assist, 1 line break. That 32 points, that could be a club record for reserve grade. Just thinking back, I remember Jared McAnally on the wing scored about 6 tries in a game, but he didn't kick goals a few years ago. And then going back about a decade before, halfback Luke Young kicked goals, but also might have got a couple of tries and was close to 30 points. But I think this might be the highest. So yeah, he got in at first receiver a few times as well to relieve the young halves. Did a little bit of kicking, constructed some of the attacking plays again. He's just constantly on the ball, and if we're scoring that many points, then he's got to have a large part to do with that. And it's as if he's playing with less time to think. He's doing everything a lot quicker, which I think is really helping him. And playing dummy half, he's forced into doing that. I think this move to dummy half has been really good for him, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to him next year, where he ends up and where he's playing. But he was in everything, and there were a lot of good performers. I thought New Brown was very good as well. I could have given it to him. But yep, congratulations to Kyle. And onto my team changes for NRL. What I would do this week. I think it's time to make a few changes, and Cameron's alluded to that in the press conference. He hasn't made them yet, but it was a short turnaround to naming the team. So I think there's going to be a few changes. There's one that I've just realised is going to be forced upon them because Matt Burton is now called into the Origin team. So I think one of my changes is definitely going to happen now. And Kyle Flanagan will come into the team. I would have put him at 14, but I think now he might start at halfback. I think he'll start at half, and Oluwapu will be the 5'8", and they'll leave Rajab on the bench. And then perhaps later in the game, when Rajab comes on, Kyle might turn into a bit of dummy half work as well, depending on where we are with Reid, or he'll play another role. So I'd definitely do that with Kyle. I think Braden Burns, he may be under an injury cloud. I'm not sure, but he's been named on the wing. I would perhaps look to put him into the centres. I think Paul Alamotti needs a bit of a breather. He's only 18. He's playing his first full season of NRL. I think he could do with a bit of a break. But if he's not, I hope he does well. But I would think that putting Burns into the centres might be a good idea for this game, if he's fit, and moving Skelton onto the wing. I think it's time we blood Skelton into the team. He's killing it in Cup. He's another big boy. We're lacking size. He makes tackle breaks. He brings the ball out of yardage really well. And, I think Carraz needs help with that because I don't think he's 100% either. So I think having Skelton there would be an advantage. And even if Alamotti was to play, I would consider putting Skelton on the bench for one of the spots. I don't know what they do with Ockenball going forward. I thought he was a bit jersey grabbing again last weekend. And I was really disappointed with some of our leaders in that game, in the NRL. The Fox sometimes makes some errors with his reads in defence. I can't put too much emphasis on what the Fox does wrong because he does so many good things for us. And, that shows by being picked in the State of Origin team, and he fully deserves that. But I thought, another thing is there too much pressure placed on our young captains. They just don't seem to be handling it very well at the moment. Burton and Reid Marnie, is it getting to them? Is it too early to make them captains? There's not really much other option, unfortunately, in the team, and I think that's where we're really needing a Hunt in the halves, and perhaps a leader in the middle as well, in the forwards, with a bit of experience, would really help this team. So yeah, I'm really disappointed with some of the more experienced players in the team. I had no issue with some of the young guys in the team and how they're performing when they're called into the team. They're doing really well. The likes of Moran and Edwards, Sam Hughes, all playing their part. So, the other changes I would make, I'd put New Brown to lock. I think he needs to come back into the team. I would also bring in Franklin Pele. Now, I've talked about the size on the bench being an issue, but I would actually start him, especially with having New Brown at lock, who's a smaller type forward. I think we need to start with some size, get him playing 15 minutes to start the game, and then give him a breather. Just go absolutely berserk, get us on the front foot for the first 15 minutes, and then he comes on in the second half for maybe even a shorter stint, and we rotate our middle forwards accordingly around that. I think it's worth trying, and I'm pretty sure Willie Mason, I heard him say a similar thing. We need Big Frank in there. We're getting desperate for some size, and I would look to do that. So those are the 4 changes, or the 4 players I would bring in: Flanagan, Brown, Pele, and Skelton. And Burns has already been named in the team, but I'd consider putting him in the centres for Alamotti. Hayes Perham is running out of chances. His positioning at the back in defence is not up to NRL standard. He's a great runner of the ball, especially on kick returns, and I think he's quite high in the NRL for that. But there's a lot more to the game than just doing that, and it's really hurting us defensively. And I think, yeah, we've got to persist with Blake Wilson for another week in New South Wales Cup, getting up to speed against better opposition, and then go from there and think about where we are during the bye and what we're going to do with Joe Ash in Jersey Flegg as well, whether he comes back up to Cup. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Yeah.
Trying to get away from Hopgood, who looked as though he was high. In fact, he gets to his feet again, still going. He chimes in. They couldn't stop Oluwapu.
Go. All on. Oh, no touch. And ground it again. Hold it! Go. Climb the ball there. And ground it. Yeah, mate. Try, mate. 10. Go. 3. Okay, beyond now. Stay behind it. Good. And ground it. 19. Go. All right. Good right. Yep. All good, mate. Yep. That's 3. At Ben, not at marker. Move on. Happy there. Grounded. Yeah. Mate. Go, Trey. Good work. Right. That's all. Play on. Good pass. And grounded. Try, mate. Mark, square. Go 2. What's that second marker? 14. Outside, defensive. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Pass is good. Try, mate. Wait to Vita. Wait to Vita. Go. No tackles. That's all right. Going. Come mate. Oh, wait. Go. 2. Oh, no touch. And ground it. Come mate. 1 foot. Hold. No, stand up and play it. Go. Yep, go down. Come mate. Hold. Go for it. Play on. Behind it. That's good. Try, mate. Go 3. 6 more to square. Shorter. 2 metres. Okay, coming into 1. Yeah. Try, mate. 1. 1 on the ground. On. 6 more. Try. Hold ya. Go 4. That's all right. Defensive. Yeah. Try. Try, mate. Yep. Good! Take it through! Play it! Oh, right, we got 0 tackle, we got a touch. Yeah. 7. 2. Just hold that right shoulder, it's umbrella in a little bit. Yep, Brandon's okay, I've got a try. Happy. 4. Are we okay with that contact? Quick contact. Good, Newcastle! Yep. Yep, right. Good, mate. One. I'm happy, Bertie. You're happy?